Hello everyone and welcome back to Chaos Creations. Well, it's been a little while and lots going on. I have been doing a little bit of the high fleet secundus plates that I'm doing and so forth. It's slow, it's time consuming, driving me a little batty to be honest with you, but once it's done, it'll look absolutely stunning. In the meantime, I've been doing some other stuff. As you can tell, I have a nice sort of gargant. Not quite a gargant. It's a little small. It should be about maybe another foot taller and maybe about a foot wider. But as a starter, it's not too bad. Now this is all movable and so forth. Very nice. I haven't glued the arms in. The only thing I've glued on here is the feet. Everything else is maneuverable. And I also have this old ork truck from back in the day. It moves around and so forth, and it's very nice. Now, the reason why I printed these is not for wargaming per se, but to be very nasty to actually Games Workshop of all people. I've been banned online by a few of the local Games Workshop stores. Now, the reason for this is whenever I go into a Games Workshop store, I will see somebody and they're like, oh, well, I really can't afford these clippers. I can't afford this super glue and so forth. I'm just saying, just go to an electronical store and just, electronical stores will have this stuff for you. Just buy it cheap, buy it on Temu and so forth. It's not, the clippers in Australia are $50 for a pair of clippers, so it's not cheap. So I say, look, just go off to a hardware store, Bunnings or something, and buy them for like $10. Are they going to be as good as the Games Workshop ones? Maybe, maybe not. But it does annoy the staff. And I have been told off more than once about it. And recently, with a few box sets coming out, and I have said, look, go on to eBay. eBay is actually cheaper than buying from your local GW. And they're like, well, what? And I said, look. My Dark Oath. And in Australia, I think it was going for, please, if I'm wrong, don't shoot me. I think it was like $3.50 Australian. I got mine online cheaper and it arrived in my city, which is Perth, which is quite remote, before the rest of Australia had them released by about a week. And they're like, what? And and the same with Skaven Blight. I was in the shop and someone was like, $450 for Skaven Blight. Oh my God. And I said, go onto eBay. The Canadians are selling it for $300 Australian plus $10 postage. $310. That's pretty cheap. And once again, I was told, look, this is not on, mate. You got to stop doing it. Realistically, in my mind, Games Workshop aren't losing money because they're still getting the product sold. And I understand why local stores are saying stop it because, they want to show profits in the stores so they can keep their jobs. And that's not a problem. I don't do it. I don't hand up a sign and hand out flyers and so forth. But I can't help it. I see little kids with mums and dads in stores wanting to purchase stuff. And mum's saying, look, it's a little bit too expensive. If it was $20 cheaper, we could afford it, but we really can't at this price. And I'm inclined, and the staff can see me slowly maneuvering towards this person, and they will get in the way and just frown at me and so forth. So the web pages that have their local stores, I cannot see. I'm blocked. I can still phone them up. I can still go on the GW webpage. I can still order stuff and so forth. But their local shops, I just can't send them in like Facebook Messenger and so forth. Hi guys, do you have this paint in? I can't do any of that. So coming up in October is Armies on Parade. Now, Armies on Parade is open to everyone. And, you can have whatever you want as long as it's a Games Workshop styled product. Now, that means, according to their rules, the miniatures have to be Games Workshop, but terrain and stuff in the background can be anything you want. Anything you want. So not only do these look like Games Workshop products, but, I can be anything I want. And now, that said, I have asked, I said, look, if I want to bring some plastic board with a 3D print with some clay and bits and pieces as a background, is that okay? And they said, absolutely, not a problem. As long as your miniatures are Games Workshop, that's all that matters. Excuse me. So the initial idea was to have this and orc freebooters, and have pirates hanging off it like it's being repaired, and have them playing cards down here, and have this truck there as well, them polishing it up. And then I found out the board is 2 feet by 2 feet. And I'm thinking, damn, double damn, that's bigger than this. So my next idea was to maybe have this being in for repairs, because at the back of it, you've got, I could just twist it around, I guess. You've got a nice little balcony up here and so forth, and you've got little bits and pieces down here and such. So I was thinking about having like a rig, so have some grots up here, dangling down with oil cans and so forth, like it's being repaired. And then have to one side, maybe have like a bar, and have like orcs drinking beers in their hands, smoking cigars, playing cards, and have like the goth rocker on stage sort of playing his music and so forth. That way, we get the best of both worlds. So we have, some 3D prints here, some 3D prints there, and orcs everywhere. Damn, excuse me again. So that's the general idea. Now, this was all printed at 0.2. So, at 0.2, it's looking very nice. I mean, it does have some layer lines, but, it's 0.2. The other thing I noticed is that the claw here, I'll just take him off, he's not glued here, has a gap. Now, normally, when, this sort of thing happens, I would get clamps out and I'd clamp it down hard. But when I was thinking about it, I thought, well, freebooters are scrappers. They scrap everything. So why not I save myself the time, maybe cut into this, make it look like it's actually 2 claws hanging out, and then sort of rust it all up and so forth. So that's a general idea. So I'm going to make that look like, a couple of claws have been like welded together, and it's not quite done too well. Apart from that, I'll just paint it up sort of like reds and golds and all sorts of things. Might even have a bit of purple in there, get some stealth happening. So that's the general idea. Now, the paint job is going to be interesting because this thing, it's big, it's huge. So what I'm going to do is, now I've done Necromunda terrain, not a problem. Orc stuff, it's a little different. I've asked some friends and they just said, get absolutely shit-faced drunk and then paint it, because that's the best way to do it, just paint it all sorts of colors, just have some fun with it. And I will. Now, that said, I don't know if I can get this on camera, I picked up the orcs. Now, a lot of the new orcs I looked at, they're all feral orcs. They're all like all snaggers, bestial sort of things. They're not the orcs I want. I want the older orcs. Freebooters look like pirates. They looked like, crazy, drunken, sea-swaggling dogs, and cigars and pipes and Napoleon hats and pirate hats and big beards and, massive mohawks and such. So what I did was I was able to find an older box of orcs. Now, these are from a while ago, and they're more the style that I'm after. So what I'll do is I'll put these all together, but I won't put their heads on, and then I'm going to speak to a friend of mine who does some really nice orc heads and see if he'll print me out some on resin, some pirate hats. I've got some designs, so I don't want them to look like, I want them to look like orcs, but I want them to be comical. So I was thinking about one with like a pumpkin head mask, one with like a couple of Mad Max masks, one that's, got like a massive, like if that's its head there, this huge mohawk, like huge squig mohawk, and things like that. I want these to have a little bit of fun about them, like the old orcs, the orcs that I remember when I was younger. The orcs had, the book Orcs that came out ages ago, WAAARG Orcs. I don't know if it was ever a codex. I think it was just like a book of orcs. So that's what I want to do. I want to have fun with these orcs. I want them to look silly. I want them to look hilarious. I want them to be drunken, boozing, cigar smoking, card playing, orcs. But orcs are. I mean, orcs were great comical value, and I want that back, damn it. So that's the plan. So I picked this up for $80, which wasn't too bad, I must admit. Good find. So what I'll do is today I'm going to undercoat, and then I'll have to leave that outside for a day to let the fumes go away. And then I'll start painting it up. And then after they're both finished, I'm not going to do it beforehand, I'll start putting the orcs together. Now, that said, I talked to you about the orc, where is it? The orc stage. So this is what I've got so far. So bear with me. So, a little stage there. Stage there. You know, that's the basic understanding, you know, and have goth out happening there. And then have the goth rocker on stage, have some guitars, have some amps, some lights in the background, big speakers and such. And then to one side, a couple of bar tables, maybe have a gunfight in process because someone's been cheating at cards, a couple of drunks, you know, on stage and so forth, you know, that sort of stuff. And that's the actual bar to one side while the freebooters are repairing the Gargant. That's the idea anyway. So, if anyone has any questions, just ask. Please like this video, and if you're not subscribed, please do so. I'm a bit scared about doing this. I want to put checkers on here, but I've never actually done checkers before. That's not true. Eldar, back in the day, somebody was doing a painting competition to who could do the best squares, and mine looked like victims of a farming accident. Not really very squares at all. More like little dobs of white than anything else. So I want to do squares on this. I might do on one of these big bellies so, you know, it looks a bit better. But the general idea is, much like Necromunda, I'm going to paint it black. And then I will give it a dry brush in silver. And then what I'm doing, I'm going to get somewhat watered down reds and like stick it on, for the most part, on the armor. And then, you know, put another coat of somewhat watery red on there. And then build it up. I don't want it to look shiny and bright. I mean, it will be shiny in like little patches here. And up here and so forth will be shiny bright because they're smaller patches. Bigger patches, I don't want them to stand out and be vibrant and so forth. I want them to be, you know, dodgy, old, worn. It's here. It's got like a little hatch that's cut in with a cannon. I want to put a smiley face in there or something, or maybe a little sign saying "Have a nice day." And the doghouse, I don't know. I mean, I actually want to put another gun sort of sticking out of there if I can find one. I've got bit boxes everywhere, so I might see if I've got another gun coming out. You know, things like that. And the same with the big barrel gun over here. I want to, you know, have like maybe have a little orc Gretchen inside, fixing something, you know, as, you know, it's being repaired and so forth. This top comes off. What I might do is just paint the inside and then glue it down, or put some Gretchen in there with like little lookouts and such. We'll see how we do. The other idea is it did originally have like a little bit that popped up there. Before I forget, now this is an actual size of a Gargant's head. So that's in comparison. So, you know, it's a bit bigger. So it's about the size of one of these bases. And it had this bit on the top there, but I deliberately snapped it off because A, these things snap off quite easily, and I don't want to be snapped off after being painted. And B, I'm tempted just to glue it down. That way it just looks complete and so forth. It was a nice idea to have an orc in there and so forth, but, you know, it is what it is. That said, I mean, the heads are interchangeable, so if I really wanted to, I can have, you know, the oversized orc head, you know, and just have it sort of sticking up there. But, you know, it looks a little bit silly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great symbol to Mork and Gork, but, you know, a little bit too weird. So it'll do. Now, that said, if I can find a original armor cast orc in resin for sale, and I can afford it, I will buy it. Because that sucker is just going to be gorgeous, and it'll be huge. I mean, it's not going to fit on this table, and it will cause problems because storage-wise, it's going to be a pain. But it's huge. It's like 3 feet tall, if I'm right. It was massive. It was huge. So if one comes up for sale, I think there's like 315 out there in the world, I think at last count. So, I mean, I'm sure someone's done some reprints somewhere. I mean, they've got to be, you know. If I can find one and it's at a reasonable price, I will buy it. Now, the last thing I was going to say wasn't saying, yeah, so I'm trying to stick it to Games Workshop in a nice way. I'm just sort of like, you know, tongue-in-cheek, as an orc would with a big gun, have some fun. If you like this video, subscribe. I think I've said all that. All right, everyone have a great day. I'm going to log off and I'm going to start undercoating because I got a lot of undercoating to do. Everyone have fun, and remember, love the game, love life, chaos out.